today we have a Husqvarna with a Briggs & Stratton 725 EXI motor on it. It's a 7 1/4. We're going to do a couple things. We're going to learn how to maintenance this. This motor runs just great, but in yearly maintenance, it's springtime, we want to make sure it runs good. There's something right here though I want to bring up. It says just check and add. Seems like a lot of Briggs & Strattons have that. Don't do that. We are going to change the oil. I'm not exactly sure why that's on there, but we're not going to listen to that. We're just going to do the good old oil change. But very first thing we're going to do before that, because we have everything ready, is we're going to look at the air filter. Looks pretty nasty. So we'll go ahead and change that with a brand new one. Where did I put that new filter? Here we are. Pretty easy. 2 holes. Put the hole on top of the guide, other one inside the intake, press down so it secures itself. Put the little latches in the grooves, and then snap, and it's ready. Okay, so now we're going to do the oil. There's a couple ways. Sometimes the motor has a bolt on the bottom that you can actually take off and drain it without putting it up, or there is, you can just take the dipstick off, tip it over, make sure the carburetor is facing up. They almost always are on the other side, so you never really have to worry about that. And then drain it out until it stops. You do want to have this running a little bit to kind of warm it up. But what I'm going to do is, Briggs & Stratton makes an oil pump. It's pretty easy. They're mainly used for lawn tractors, but the oil in this really isn't all that bad. If it was really bad, I'd take off all of it. But it's not that bad at all. So I'm just going to pump. And there you'll see the oil start to come out. Speed this up a little bit. Just kind of adjust it, make sure we're not sucking air. And you'll hear it start to sputter. There it goes. When you're being close to done. Might be a good idea to push down on a little bit. Kind of lower the oil. Let's kind of set on the other side. The weight of the old oil will help bring down the pump. Good. Let's take this off and set it to this side. Okay. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get the oil ready, and then I'll bring it back when you put it in. Okay, so right now you can buy the 1 quart sizes. I like to buy one, keep it because on the side it has ounces. And then just buy like the 5 quarts. This is just some normal 10W30 conventional oil. Any brand will really do. Just you don't have to have fully synthetic or anything. We're going to be changing it routinely anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The benefit of doing that is this is going to save you a decent amount. It's always good to have a little extra oil in case you, for whatever reason, run a little low. You don't have time to go to the store. So you can always have a little bit of extra oil left over. So we put the oil dipstick in there, or oil fill funnel. And this has 20 ounces of oil. This particular motor, according to the internet, takes 14.88 ounces, so we're just going to put 15 in there. And the benefit of not using the 5 quart is if you fill this up to about what you need, you can just go ahead and fill it up and not have to worry about overfilling. Because once you overfill, the oil then gets pushed out, you start burning oil, you think your motor's bad, so it's always good to keep it at a very normal level. Maybe another burp. There we go. let that settle a little bit. We have a dipstick here. We'll clean it up in a fresh, clean shop towel. And put that on there. And we're right at the full mark. Perfect. Okay, and then we do that. So next thing we're going to do, just for the good practice, I like to do this multiple times of the year, or the next part, is sharpen the blade. A dull blade will cause kind of like a white, bad look to your lawn if you cut it with a dull blade. It doesn't really cut, it just kind of rips it, and it causes a potential for disease and everything else. So we'll get into that a little bit later in a different video, but at least for this, always sharpen the blade. We're going to do that a couple times a year. So I'm going to go get this on the side, and we'll, before we get on the side, just to make sure, whenever you sharpen, you want to disconnect the spark plug. Okay, I'll put it on the side, bring those back. Okay, so jack stands up. This is pretty secure. And then we have a 9/16 impact. We're going to go ahead and take this off. There we go. Hold down the mower. And there it goes. So, we need to see if it's balanced, if there's any type of extra nonsense on there. Rip that off, grass clumps, whatever. This is like stickers, so there's grass stuck on it. Now we're going to, oh, this one's a little bit different. So usually they don't have a 5-star, but on this one they do. If it does, you want to put something on there, and whatever side is lower is heavier, so this is how we would want to balance. We need to grind a little bit more off this side from the looks of it, just a little though. And that way when this gets a little lighter, this rises up and it'll be flat. Technically the Briggs and Stratton manual says you could put this a nail. I just use a screwdriver. You can get those little blade balancers that have like a cone, but trying to put a cone in a star, not the easiest. And this isn't a very horrible blade too. If it was super ground down, it would just be time for a new one at that point. So the balance the other direction shouldn't be a big problem on this. Okay, I'll go take you over to the grinder and we'll grind one. Okay, pro tip, make sure your glasses when you use a grinder are foggy and dirty. So gasoline's away, this is going to be a little sparky, so make sure to keep it away from anything flammable. The most we're going to be cutting is the front edge, but we're going to do the whole section of the blade. Okay, so blade's sharpened, you'll see that. I kind of purposely nicked the front of it just a real briefly, so it's not super razor sharp, but it just kind of extends the life of the blade. Cutting side faces up, motor runs counterclockwise, always remember that. The star will go on the guide, and then you put it back on. Like you see on the actual adapter, these guide holes, you just put the guide holes on the holes that correspond in the blade. And there we go. It's easier to kind of put this in with your hands and tighten it with the impact later. That way it's not falling off. Usually the blade adapter, unless it's a newer mower, will kind of be seized on there. You could put anti-seize on it, that way you can, if you ever need to take it off easily, it kind of prevents it. But if you live in a drier area, it's not big of a problem. And then you don't want to over tighten. Can't stress that enough, because then you'll end up breaking it. That's a whole level of work you don't want to get into. There we go. And that's really about it. We're going to look at the plug, and the plug should be fine though. We'll replace that. That's pretty easy. And other than that, that's going to be our yearly maintenance on this Briggs & Stratton. Any other questions, feel free to comment below, and definitely subscribe. See you later.